Hello, welcome. Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 28 Globalization, let us start our lecture with the topic Features of Globalization, and subtopic is Multiculturalism. Here the immigrants is expected to assimilate with the national culture. In such countries, the ideas of cultural and nation are conflated. Many European nations, though, on this line expect UK for a long time, but in the recent decades some of this philosophy is under dilution because of the actual presence of many immigrants who differ from them substantially racially, ethnically and culturally. Now let us discuss the point melting pot. In the United States, the traditional view has been one of a melting pot where all the immigrant cultures are mixed and amalgamated without state intervention. However, many states have different language policies within the Union. Now, the next point is multiculturalism. In comparison to the above two approaches, multiculturalism is a view or policy that immigrants and others should preserve their cultures with the different cultures interacting peacefully within one nation. Today, this is the official policy of Canada, Australia, and the UK. Multiculturalism has been described as preserving a cultural mosaic of separate ethnic groups and is contrasted to a melting pot that mixes them. This has also been described as the salad bowl model. No country falls completely into one or another of these categories. For example, France has made efforts to adopt French culture to new immigrant groups, while Canada still has many policies that work to encourage assimilation. Some, such as Danny Ravitch, use the term multiculturalism differently, describing both the melting pot and Canada's cultural mosaic as being multicultural and refers to them as pluralistic and particularist multiculturalism. Pluralistic multiculturalism views each culture or subculture in a society as contributing unique and valuable cultural aspect to the whole culture. Particularist multiculturalism is more concerned with preserving the distinction between the cultures. Immigration into European countries is a rather recent trend, though until the 1970s and 1980s the levels were relatively modest. Recent increases in the immigration have led to the development of political parties in Europe that are almost solely concerned with the limiting immigration. The diasporas who leave their homeland but who still identify themselves with their cultural roots and countries of origin have proliferated even more so in the recent past. Their attempts to preserve their cultural roots and identify has brought to fore many ethnic identity efforts. With the world being globally connected now, it has become easier for communities with a sense of a similar identity, however dispersed, to come together. There are many transnational organizations which feed into this ethnic consciousness, be it Hindu, Muslim or subnational identities such as Telugu, Bengali, etc. As you can see, technology and the changes in economy have implications for all aspects of society. We will try and understand another feature of globalization that is much debated, the cultural globalization. Now let us move to the point homogenization and hybridization of culture. A very significant feature of globalization, as we mentioned earlier too, is the flow of several things: technology, money, people and culture, which is highly mediated by global technology and media. So we have Bollywood influencing fashion in UK as much as MTV and other American program influencing not only the Indian but world at large. This co-influence of influence has raised questions such as, is the world is getting homogenized by Western influences, especially America? Terms such as McDonaldization, Coco-colonization are used to point out dominance of giant corporation of America influencing the cultures of the world and taking over local market. Griffin takes note of the argument that globalization has strong homogenizing factor influences that weakens and destroy existing cultures, moving towards a world culture under US hegemony. The American way of life, or more likely a pale imitation of it, will become the world's way of life. However, he thinks that emergence of a single world culture is highly unlikely. Instead, globalization and the associated cultural interpenetration are more likely to lead to new permutations, new combinations, new options, and new cultures. With the increasing pace of globalization, in his opinion, the idea of global citizenship would gain support, but it would not pose a threat to the existing loyalties and identities, local, national, regional. It would neither supersede existing loyalties nor represent the creation of a global culture, but it would be a step forwards recognition of the fact that globalization affects us all and we should all have a voice in determining how the effects are managed. Appadurai is also strongly predisposed to the view that globalization is not the story of homogenization. In his view, globalization is a deeply historical, uneven, and even localizing process. Globalization does not necessarily or even frequently imply homogenization or Americanization. The genealogy of the cultural form, in a theoretical vein, he says, is about their circulation across regions. The history of these forms is about their ongoing domestication into local practice. In case of India, he talks about how history and genealogy inflect one another and how global forms take local forms. Another important phenomena he is concerned with is that of the diaspora, which is part of the cultural dynamics of urban life in most countries of the world. In this connection, the joint force of electronic mediation and mass migration co-institute a new sense of the global as modern and the modern as global. The diasporic phenomena of today he observes as explicitly transnational, even post-national. Singh recognizes that globalization was bound to put pressures on the Indian culture. He envisages some degree of acceleration towards homogenizing of cultural form and activities in the countries. However, he asserts that the social structure and cultural system in India are intrinsically based on pluralism and diversity. The Indian society is segmented in communities which enjoy enormous cultural autonomy. This provides enormous cultural resilience to communities in India to filter the effects of globalization through refractory and prismatic adaptations. Moreover, there is observed an enhanced sense of self-consciousness and awareness of identity. Those elements of globalization are resented that encroach upon or does not promote the core cultural values of the society. So, globalization has both facets, homogenization and cultural identity enhancement. In case of the Indian diaspora, he finds the trends of cultural fusion also in India at the level of population, culture of music, dance, dramatic, cinema, etc. The new trend is on one of fusion of traditional Indian forms or styles and Western or global forms or styles. This emergent popular culture he regards as posing a threat to the indigenous, local, regional or ethnic identity of cultural traditions insofar as it abstracts culture from people's rhythm of life and its natural expressiveness or vitality and converts it into new packaging into a commodity. In this process, the traditional identity deeply embedded in community life, caste, class, tribe, principles of hierarchy and reciprocity are metamorphosed into a faceless audience. This he thinks is not entirely due to globalization, but rather germane in very paradigm of modernization which we along with the rest of humanity willfully celebrate. As regards modernization, Gupta talks about the process of Westockification in India. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.